What's up, everybody out there? How you doing? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode over here of Peppy's Point of View. I'm your favorite host, your favorite R&B historian, your favorite music critic, Peppy. And the month of February is what? It's Black History Month or Black Heritage Month. And I decided that I wanted to celebrate by looking up a list of top Black female albums of all time. And as you know, these lists can become quite controversial. Well, why did that artist make the list and why did that album make the list? It should have been this album. It should have been that diva and so on and so forth. You know how these lists can get complicated. But not only that, I have a little bit of a critique to make myself because this particular list that I looked at did not have the ladies of En Vogue, my funky divas of soul, on that list for their 1992 album Funky Divas. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on here? Who made this list? Well, anyway, you know I had to talk about my divas, and so check that out as well in Vogue's Black History Month music review. Now, you should know by now, over here, I just go with the flow. I put out an intent, and well, it just seems to just manifest into, well, what's I guess it's intended to become because I kind of have deviated away from the list, so to speak. I know, but hey, I have to go with the flow. And going with the flow right now, I came across Miki Howard's album. That's right, Miki Sings Billy. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. He came across the album. I mean, he is an R&B historian. He did not know Miki had this album out. Yes, I did. It was one of these albums that you see it and you just go like, okay, keep moving. That's how I looked at this album. I guess I don't know if it was Billie Holiday, and I was kind of like, because I have to admit, I don't know if I'm a Billie Holiday fan. So maybe it was just the fact that it was Billie Holiday, and the reason why I just was like, okay, I don't know. But I've never listened to this album until today. Today, there I am. I'm watching Spike Lee's Malcolm X, and I see, of course, Miki Howard performance snippet in the video, her cameo appearance in the movie. And so I was like, whoa, that'll be a great album to review because I've never heard it before. Oh my gosh. Get Miki Howard on the phone. I promise you. Get Miki Howard on the phone. I know I haven't said get anybody on the phone in a while, but I'm saying it today because I really and truly think that Miki might want to hear this review. Now, to start things off, I just simply want to say when it comes to this album, we should know by now, Miki has been talking about it again. I've known about this for quite some time, but Miki has talked about this once before. And she talked about how, hold on, y'all making me tired. Allegedly, I have to say allegedly. She talked about how allegedly Anita Baker came up to her, and I'm going to assume it was the Soul Train Music Awards. And she came up to her, hugged her or whatever, and kind of whispered in her ear, that's the only one you're going to get. Pretty much implying that that's her category, Anita Baker's category. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, you're not going to get another one, sweetie. Well, I got news for you. Well, tell Miki, you guys, tell Miki this album, if Miki Howard ever wanted to have a comeback, a get back, right? This album is definitely Miki's like I don't know what you want to call it. Like this is Miki's response to that Anita Baker's comment. Why do I say that? Simply because this album is definitely in Anita Baker's lane. Okay, Like I can see Anita Baker trying to pull a particular album off like this. And let's just be real. We really wanted Anita Baker to give us a jazz album. We always looked for that jazz album. After 1990s compositions, we was like, Anita, stop it. Just stop it. Just give us our jazz album, please. Just go ahead on and just do that. And she never got around to doing it. And, I mean, she still could, but right now it just doesn't look like we're going to get that jazz album that we wanted from her. And so this album here, I must say, Miki, I'm clapping. Miki, you did your thing on this album. And as I said, it's definitely your get back. But here's what I want to say, because I am your favorite music critic. Yeah, we have to talk about this album for a second, okay? Because, just like any, creative of work, it has its moments of good and not so good moments, but it is what it is. But overall, in general, it is a great album. And so you guys already know, if you've been over here, how I do things over here. I just go ahead on and I go back and I actually listen to the album. I have to. I just not going to go and reach for things and this, then the other. And people, they love to copy and paste. We don't do copy and paste over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have our own ideas. We are original over here. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and if I just so happen to have the same critique or opinion or perspective as someone else, then hey, it is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, let's just dive right into it. I'm going to give you a brief review of what the background of the album, okay? And then I'll tell you, pretty much how I feel about the album. So Miki Sings Billy is a tribute album, and it's Miki's album, of course, of I'm going to assume these are original songs by Billie Holiday. But of course, at the time, these songs could have been remakes of other songs, okay? So keep that in mind. I've never heard, I don't think, a Billie Holiday song. So keep that in mind. I want you to keep that in mind. I'm saying it because that's the only thing that I think that could possibly make me, miss this review, so to speak, come off, kind of short. I wanted to go ahead on and listen to some of Billie's music, and I probably will do that just to kind of have a good balance, if you will. But right now, it's strictly Miki, okay? And so I'm going to assume that these are original songs by Billie Holiday, with the understanding that that's probably not so. These are not probably all original songs for her. Billie probably, made some of these songs popular, in her catalog. Okay. So it is what it is. Now, when we talk about the album, as I said before, the album was released in 1993, right after, a year after she released Femme Fatale. Now that was in 1992, and it had the hit song on it, Ain't Nobody Like You, Love It. Oh my gosh, I love Ain't Nobody Like You. Anyway, so it's released a year after on Giant Records. The album peaked at 72 on the Billboard's top R&B albums chart, okay? And as I said, this album is a tribute to jazz singer Billie Holiday, okay? And I'm going to assume that Miki probably chose some of her songs, okay, that she liked by Billie, okay? That's what I'm going to assume. Probably not. Okay, now let's dive right into it. The first thing I do when I do my review or get ready to listen to an album and then do a review, the first thing I have to do is I have to ask myself, I have to say, okay, what is going on? What am I thinking? Because obviously I'm doing a review. And oh gosh, what did I just do? I did something that makes me feel like I lost my review. Oh my gosh, what did I do? I don't know what I did. You guys, I lost my review. But anyway, let's keep right going. I'll bring it back. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to ask myself, like, what is it that I'm thinking immediately right before I begin to play the music? Okay, it's just, what is my mind frame? And my mind frame is that I have to be open. I have to be open because I'm not sure if I know any of Billie Holiday's music. I'm talking about her voice to the music. I know we're talking about, My Funny Valentine and what is it, Good Morning Heartache, I think, and Strange Fruit. We know those songs, but of course, I don't know if I've ever heard Billie sings them. So that was the first thing I had to say to myself. So keeping that in mind, I'm actually listening to this album uh, for two things: vocals, meaning is Miki in top notch, vocally. And I'm listening to just pretty much find my favorite songs on the album, right? So that's the first thing that I am doing. So as I'm hearing this album, I'm saying to myself, okay. I listen to What a Little Moonlight Can Do, and I'm saying, if anyone can convincingly pull off a cover of Billie Holiday, it's Miki Howard. So I'm convinced just by listening to What a Little Moonlight Can Do, I'm like, okay, I think Miki can do this. Okay. But I don't know if she sounds like Billie because we're doing a tribute album. And you know how we can be sometimes. We can, is it the word petty? I'm not quite sure. Does the word petty come to mind when we do things like this? I don't know. But we kind of like uh I'm going to call it do diva for diva, crooner for crooner, right? We're always kind of comparing and contrasting other artists against, each other. And I guess you're thinking about it, they could be a tad bit petty. And I'm saying, well, I know Miki sounds like Miki, but does she sound like Billie? And is this important for this album, right? Because it says Miki sings Billie. But then I'm noticing Miki is having fun though, and I'm enjoying it. So right now, I know I'm digging Miki. I'm digging her voice. She's definitely having fun, but at the same time, I'm like, is this Billie Holiday? And so I get to track one, I get to track two. Track two is I'm a Fool to Want You. And then I get to track three, My Man. And I'm still thinking the same thing. Do I want to hear Billie or do I want to hear Miki? That's where I'm going with this. Billie, Miki, Billie, Miki, Miki, Billie, Billie, Miki. But I'm not sure. As I said, I haven't heard any music by Billie Holiday, like her voice, and maybe one song. And I'm like, I have nothing to compare this to. So I'm comfortable now. After track three, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable because these songs in the production is right smack dab in the middle of who, right? Who? Who are these songs right smack dab in the middle of? It's Miki. So as I'm listening to this album, and I'm like, Billie, Miki, Billie, Miki, Miki, Billie, Miki, Billie. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is straight up Miki Howard, though. Like, I'm stretching my head trying to figure out, like, how did this album not hit? What was going on for this album not to be a hit? Simply because this is familiar territory with Miki Howard. I mean, straight up familiar territory. For those of us who have her first album, and I don't think the first album is Love Confession. Is the first album Love Confessions? I'm not quite sure. Uh, no, it's Come Share My Love, Love Confessions, Miki Howard, and then Femme Fatale, right? So these albums, right before Miki sings Billie, this is this straight up Billie. This is Miki. So these songs are not foreign to me right now. Like the style, what she's saying, how she's singing it, all of that stuff is not unfamiliar territory. Like it's almost like, is Miki really stretching herself on this album? Like that would be the only down thing at this moment in time. Is she stretching herself? But this is definitely Miki, and I definitely can see her fans flocking to this album. So what happened? Familiar territory. So what happened? That's why I'm scratching my head. I'm like, Mickey, what happened? Like who did what to who? You understand what I'm saying? And so that's where it is. She's not stretching herself vocally. She's not doing any of those things. And then I think about how lowly the album charted, which was at 72 on the U.S. Billboard R&B and Hip Hop Albums chart. And I'm like, wait a minute. The only place I could find where it charted for me, the little research that I was able to do, is that the album charted at 72. So I'm like, did they release a single from this album at all? And if so, what single could it have been? So now I'm thinking about promotion, and I'm saying to myself, well, Giant Records really had to take Miki Howard seriously. They had to take her seriously to even attempt to want to do an album like this, okay, where Miki is singing Billy, because I like to think of Natalie Cole when Natalie Cole was singing her father's music, and the kickback that she got back, or the drawback rather, that she got back, from wanting to go in and to record a particular album like that. And so I can only imagine that the same thing probably Miki had, like, convincing, like, when she went, who approached her would be my question. Miki, who approached you to do this album? Was it you approached someone to do this album, or was it the record company or your management or whomever who decided that Miki was going to sing Billy and put this album together? A perfect album, a perfect production. Everything was just right on point. So I know that they took this seriously. But something had to happen for them not to really give it the attention as far as marketing and promotion and releasing singles and things like that is concerned. So again, as I said, Giant Records is taking her seriously enough to do this, but at the same time, not serious enough to release any singles that I know of from the album, to really promote the album. I don't remember Miki doing any promotion on this album. It's released in 1993. And as I said before, by the time 1997 comes around, it is what it is. They definitely are pushing artists such as, Miki Howard and so many other artists, putting them on the back, way, way, way back on the back burner. And as I said before, 1997 is when I stopped listening to the radio. Because it was pushing artists that I liked. I could see, I noticed the trend changing. Okay. And so, if you watch me long enough over here, that in 1997, I only purchased maybe three albums. That would be the Isley Brothers' Mission to Please, Patti LaBelle's Flame, and In Vogue's EV3. And I was done. I mean, I wasn't really looking for any more albums after that. I can't think of any more albums that I purchased, after that, except for, of course, when 2001 came in and In Vogue released Masterpiece Theater. And then the Isley Brothers released their 2001 Eternal album. I bought those again, but for the most part, I was done. I was not rushing out to buy music because I just wasn't digging the music that was being released at the time. So I'm not quite sure if the trend really started to change around the time that Miki released Miki Sings Billy. I'm not quite sure if that's what it was, but this album definitely could have did more justice for her from a career standpoint. I would say it that way. But of course, if you listen, or excuse me, not listen, but watch Miki Howard's TV1, right? It's TV1 biopic, or is it biopic? I say biopic. I want to say biopic so bad. But biopic, Love Under New Management, then of course this probably was also the same time that she was having, issues in her personal life with her management and so on and so forth. So that could have had a lot to do with it as well, with the tension between her management and record companies and so on and so forth. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But now that I think about it, oh my gosh, I think I know what probably possibly happened. All right, let me put up a ledge again because I'm not quite sure. But then Giant Records kind of go out of business, like they went out of business. That's what happened to Giant Records. So that's probably what happened to this album. Now that I think about it, they probably, yeah, I don't think Giant Records was around too much longer after that. So maybe that's what it was. I'm saying a ledge because I don't know. But I'm like, okay, everything is cool. I'm loving the album. I'm digging it. It's a wonderful, great album, for sure. And Then I get to familiar territory. Who hasn't heard somebody sing "Tain't Nobody Business," right? So I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I hear you, Miki. Like I'm feeling her version of that, so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. And I think this is for me is where the album kind of picked up because it was pretty much giving me, the regular jazz vibe, so to speak. And so once I heard "Tain't Nobody's Business If I Do," I'm like, okay, it's picking up everything. I'm feeling it. Then something starts to happen. I'm like, something happens to this album. If you listen to it, you probably know where I'm going when I say it this way. I'm like, something's listening. Because you know how I feel when it comes to albums. I'm saying to myself, I'm like, I'm learning not to always look for the hit now, right? When I'm listening to these albums, I'm like, in the past, I'm like, where my hit song? I just want to hear my hit song and keep moving. I have a lot of albums that I did not hear the entire album simply because I was just too busy playing the hit songs from those albums. And I was like, okay, I get around to the full album in a minute. Like, you really had to be my favorite for me to just listen to your entire album, even if I had the entire album. So anyway, so I'm like, okay, this is a decent album. I'm loving it, so on and so forth. But something is happening. Something just happened. After listening to "Tain't Nobody's Business If I Do," I get to the song "Yesterday," and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am loving this. Like, "Yesterday" is my repeater. If there's a repeater on this album, it's definitely "Yesterday." So I'm like, okay, loving this song. Everything is good, so on and so forth. Like, I'm just really feeling it and vibing it. And as I said, something happens, something switches. And I'm like, I'm noticing this, but I can't put my finger on it, right? So the album is, the single is, that song is over with. And then we get to "Now or Never." And the same thing is happening. I'm like, something is different. Like, remember when I told you guys that this album is definitely Miki? So it doesn't matter to me if she sounds like Billy or not because she's so much like Miki until it's just like, this is out of all Miki Howard's albums, I would say this is the definitely the must-have album, right? So I get to "Now or Never" and I'm really feeling it and I'm vibing it. I'm like, what's going on? I'm still like, something is different, and I'm loving it. What is it? And at this moment in time, I'm like, okay, since I heard "Yesterday," and yesterday is the repeater, I'm like, yesterday should have been a single. That's what I'm saying to myself, right? Then I get to "Don't Explain," and I'm feeling the same way I was feeling when I heard "Yesterday" and "Now or Never." So you know me, I'm scratching my head trying to figure out what's going on because I feel like I'm kind of missing something. I need to pay attention to something. Something is staring me right in my face and I'm not recognizing it. So I got to ask myself some questions. So guess what I do? And if you know me, you know the next thing I did. You'll be right. I happened to go over and glance at the album credits. I glanced at the album credits for one hot second. I said, that's what it is. Aha. Aha. That's what it is. It's the fan favorite, Lamel Humes. You got that right. I said, that's it. She has partnered up again with somebody who knows who she is, Lamel Humes. Okay, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly because y'all know I can butcher a name, but I know this name. This name is always somewhere around on her album credits, right? And so I said, this is, he knows Miki. He knows Miki. You see what I'm saying? Nobody knows Miki like Lamar Humes. And I was like, this is it. He is definitely having fun with Miki. Miki is having fun with him. I mean, she's singing her behind off. She's singing only in a way in which we expect Miki to sing. The production is productioning, and the singing is singing, and all of that stuff. And Lamel Humes is humaning. Like, it's just so wonderful. I'm like, that's what it is. And I noticed that David Foster, produced the first half of the album, and Lamel Hume produced the second half. And it's only just it's like cereal and milk, Lamel Humes and Miki Howard. And I was like, it's right at home. So for me, uh, the album starts at track 6. If you can play the entire album from beginning to end, but when you get to track 6 and go all the way to 10, you sure better believe you are getting Miki in her rare fashion, right? Like, you getting Miki, you getting uh the old school type Miki, okay? And as I said, she's just having fun with it. Oh my gosh. So, overall, in general, I have to say that this was a great album. I love it. I love it. I love it. As I said, to me, this is definitely, a song, an album that should have gotten a lot of attention. I love what she did with Strange Fruit. I love how dramatic it was, even for Miki. The song was very dramatic. I think she did her thing. I really and truly do. My hats off to you, Miki. I have to applaud you again. The first applause over here, I believe. Like standing ovation. Miki Howard. What can I say? Like, I am going to definitely, bring this album up. Whenever I'm mentioning Miki Howard anywhere, and say, hey, listen here. I know y'all love under new management and come share my world and all of that stuff. But I'm here to tell you, if you call yourself a fan of Miki, then you definitely needs to hear her, sing Billie Holiday, just for the fun of singing it, or just hearing her sing it, definitely. Well, if you made it this far in my commentary, I think it's only right for me to say, hey, you guys, hang out with me. Hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, tell me, what your favorite album is by what artist. And guess what? I check that out as well. And over here, my motto is very simple. Put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I look forward to seeing your next video. And until then, you should know what to do by now. Take care of you. All right.